You're listening to the Voices of Recovery podcast. This is a special episode featuring a recovering addict. Hi, my name is Sophie X. I'm the host and producer of the Voices of Recovery podcast. I'm joined here today by Colleen. Hi, Colleen.
Hi.
Thank you so much for doing our readings for October, for the Just for Today and for the SPAD.
My pleasure.
So appreciate you being on. And you are being featured on this special series about showbiz and recovery. And I invited you specifically because I know that you are a massive, massive fan of music.
Absolutely.
And any given Sunday, I can find you at a concert with a picture of some famous music artist. So, you're frequently meeting them, hanging out with them backstage, and you yourself are an artist. And I wanted to hear your perspective as a person who's been in recovery for a while, but also balances that with show business. But also I'd love for our listeners to hear who Colleen is, who the woman behind the voice is. And so take it away. Introduce yourself. Tell us your story.
So I have 13 years, 3 months, and 5 days today. Let's see. What about me? I have always been someone who has loved music. Like, I wanted to be a rock star when I grew up. Mm-hmm. It was always that point of like wanting to be in the music business in some way. But, coming from where I came from, like, I'm not going to say that I lived in, the middle of Harlem, but certainly like growing up in Bushwick, Queens was rough. Mm-hmm. And having the ways and means to get into the music business was really difficult back then. I mean, I am getting up there in years.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So it was difficult for me to get into that. And then just lifed. When I was growing up, it was like a big bar thing then. Like my dad was an alcoholic. My stepfather was an alcoholic. So like being around bars was very easy for us.
And were you going to listen to music, but in a bar, right?
Absolutely. Yes. So, and then it was so weird because I always felt like I had to be laying next to the stereo, like listening to the music wherever I was, and still always having that dream of growing up and becoming a rock star. So being in a bar and being very young and being able to pick up people's drinks gave me that getaway, right? It gave me that someday I'm going to be a big rock star kind of thing. And then, lifed and it didn't happen that way. And, I met someone and I stopped using when I was about 16, right? I started maybe 8, 10, probably taking my first drink when I was about 8 years old. Yeah. And then, like my sister and I, who we used to sell drugs for the kid across the street. Like we used to sell weed. And by the time I was in like junior high school, we were peddling like ludes and ups. Yeah. Love those lemons. Right. And my sister was like, she'd have the ups and I'd have the downs. And this was in 7th, 8th, 9th grade. But then, my sister became really bad, like her disease progressed. And I saw how quickly it progressed to heroin. And I didn't want to be that way. Like I didn't want that for my life. So I promised myself at 16 that I was going to stop using. And then I met a guy, I got married. The marriage fell apart. I started to play softball. I was on a league. And, when you hang out and go to a bar, people, places, and things, so
I'll get you.
Oh, absolutely. Every single time. So I had quit smoking too, I started smoking when I was 13. Like I was a degenerate fucking smoker. Hanging out at the bar, let me try one of those Newports, right? And then after trying one of those Newports, it was like, maybe I'll have a cocktail, have a little glass of wine. And then, of course, the glass of wine became tequila shots and Jack and Coke and, that kind of thing. So because I was drinking, like, it was okay to just hang out in the bar again, that like became part of my life, right? Then my sister came to visit one time because she was living in Florida. And she told me a little story about how we were molested when we were kids. And it just came back in like a flooding instance of, wow.
A memory that you had suppressed.
Fucking really. Oh. Yeah. It went on. I remembered it like immediately when she told me about it. And it was rough at that time. I was 24 years old. And then I stayed drunk from when I was 24 to 30. Like always. Like there wasn't a binge drinking trip that I wasn't going on, right?
Alcohol is a drug.
Oh, absolutely. It was definitely my downfall. That's for sure. From then, I was doing things that were like kind of unbecoming of any person. You know what I mean? And then I met the man of my dreams. On work release, heroin and crack addict.
Prince Charming. The guy that all the Disney movies are made up after. It's him.
Joe Jonas in disguise.
Here he is.
So,
the man on the white horse.
Exactly. The man on the white horse. Oh my God. The man who I was obsessed with and, followed to every jail up to Canada for like years. And, the father of both of my kids. And listen, when you are trying to help someone get clean, still using yourself and using in the way of like alcohol, because alcohol is a drug, So I try to like backtrack with him and, listen, we all try to bargain for things in our lives, right? Manipulation. He became my drug, right? And then I got into a car accident. And the doctor handed me a fucking giant bottle of Vicodin. Here, take these, you'll feel better. And I had already had back problems. Like I was born with an anomaly, like a listhesis, and my vertebrae sit on each other, oddly.
It's got to be painful.
It is. But getting into an accident accelerated that pain. And then once you get to taking a couple of Vicodin a day, became a couple more and a couple more and a couple more for me. And then fast forward maybe 6 years, I was still with the father of my children. Our lives were really completely unmanageable. I was still, like chasing and following him into dens, trying to drag him out, using myself. But he was worse than I was. Don't we all say that?
Of course,
right?
Yeah. I'm not as bad as you are.
Yeah.
I'm the savior in this thing. Right?
I would take pills all day and drink all night and then still try to care for my children. And then I found Naranon, right? If he was straight, then I could get straight, right? I could stop using.
And you're just here for support, right?
Yeah.
You're not the problem.
Totally.
Not contributing to the problem.
Totally. I had put music aside because I was just so obsessed with him, right? Eventually, when I went to that Naranon meeting, a young man came to the meeting and told me my story. Just about all of the fucking horrible feelings that I felt about myself. Like how low my self-esteem was at that point in time. Then, I would move from here to there, from Long Island to New York City, Queen, like just all over. And then I'm like, at that point in time, I was like, maybe I'll just move upstate and get away. But here he was telling me that he moved upstate and there he still was, right? We still only have ourselves.
Yeah. We move with ourselves.
Absolutely.
That's the one suitcase you can't leave behind when you're moving.
It's in our brain, right? It's like how our thinking and how obsessed we become with things. Well, I'll speak in the I. How obsessed I become with things, right? How obsessed with the fact that if you're still using, you don't love me, right? If you're using that much and can't stop, you don't love me. But then I couldn't look at myself and recognize that I was using just as much as he was. Just different drugs, right? So I finally dug up enough courage at some point to get myself into an NA meeting, right? I did break up with the father of my kids, finally. It did help a little bit. But making my first Narcotics Anonymous meeting was the catalyst to my recovery. And the recognition that music was also going to help me get back to me, right?
I can so relate to that.
Yeah. there are only so many people who I know that get chills from music. Like, there's a small amount of people in this world that get chills from music. And there are certain things. It's like, you know how some people see colors when they hear music?
That's me. That's synesthesia.
Yeah.
I have that synesthesia.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes. So I get chills. And it depends on where, if someone's singing or if someone's playing guitar, like the chills hit me differently, and different people's tones hit me differently. Like some will be on the back of my neck, some will be on my legs, some will be on my arms. It's so weird. And I can never, it's the pitch. And I know it's the pitch, right? So I wanted to somehow get back into the music business or somehow be able to have that help me in my recovery, right? So I knew having 2 kids, it was really difficult for me to, be in a band and start singing again. But instead, I just started going to concerts, right?
And for anybody that has not seen Colleen and doesn't know Colleen, Colleen has like probably 50 tattoos, probably more of signatures.
It's over 100.
Oh yeah, only just signatures. Well, just the signatures. I mean, yeah, you have a whole bunch of other tattoos.
Yeah. But yeah, they're all autographs. So
Yeah, autographs of
famous rock stars.
famous rock stars all over her body. Hands, arms, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Everywhere. Legs, everywhere.
My first one was on my ankle, and that's John Mellencamp.
No way.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So what, do they just sign on your body and you're just like, I'll be at a tattoo parlor in like an hour?
That's exactly what
Wow, that's
happened.
insane.
And now my daughter's boyfriend is a tattoo artist. So he
Perfect.
tattoos me the day of or the next day, or, within that week, I get them tattooed. And many of them, are people who I have loved for years and years, like Johnny and Marie. Johnny Osmond was my first love, So listening to him when I was like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old on the radio, it's like I wanted to do that. So I thought to myself at some point in my life, I'm going to meet him and I'm going to tell him how much I love him. And I did. And it was like one of the most amazing things that has ever happened to me. Like Johnny Osmond and I were dancing at this meet and greet. It was hilarious. And he was like, so tell me, were you a wall poster girl? I was like, hell no, you were a ceiling. You were on my ceiling. And the same thing with John Mellencamp. When I met John, I walk up to him and I'm like, wow, it took me 30 years to meet you, right? And then he's like, well, let me have a hug. So I'm hugging him and like all I could think about was how soft his leather jacket was. It was so funny. And then I asked him to sign my ankle, right? So I give him the Sharpie and he's signing my ankle and he's asking me what I want. And he has the same cross with railed lights on his ring finger. So I asked him for that. And then he's holding my leg up like under his arm and I'm shaking. And he's like, well, you got to stop shaking. I'm like, you're touching me. And then he goes like this with the Sharpie. He licks his finger and like rubs it off my leg because he didn't like what he wrote. And I was like, oh my God, John. And then he tells his girl, fetch me one of my good pens. So she went and grabs, and he's like, get it off her leg. So she's scrubbing my leg. It was so funny. And it was like so surreal because I had never thought in my wildest dreams that I would meet any of these people who I admired and loved so much. And here I was, my leg was being held by John Mellencamp, right?
And that's a tattoo. I'm looking at that tattoo right now. I mean, all over. Priscilla Presley.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You just read them. You just read them. Like, there's, I don't even know how many. It's insane. It's insane.
Priscilla and I had an amazing conversation where the two of us ended up in tears because we were talking about Elvis. And, everyone knows that Elvis was one of us. And
He was an addict.
yeah, for sure. And I told her, thank you for not hating him. She's like, hating him. Oh, he was my heart. He was the most amazing person. He just had a problem and couldn't stop it. And I couldn't be a part of that. So by the end of our conversation, we were both crying. We were hugging each other. And she's just so beautiful. And you can feel her warm heart, And for me, that was like so appreciative to me, because being in recovery and having someone understand an addict but love them anyway was like,
That's
it meant a
healing.
lot to
Yeah,
me.
that's healing.
The scariest part of like getting back into the music business or being a part of the music business was recognizing that I would have to go into a bar, recognizing that a lot of people around me would be
People,
using.
places, and things.
Absolutely. But the music meant more to me at that point than my wanting to use, you know? I will never be past the part of wanting to use, because I felt that way, like even in recovery. Going back into the bars, I was able to handle it. And I had people around me who were coming with me who were also in recovery. So that made it that much easier.
Like a chaperone.
Yeah, absolutely. I would invite someone who had more years than me clean until I was able to handle going to these bars myself.
And you're not just going to these bars and seeing them, you're also hanging out with them backstage.
Oh, yeah.
And they are most definitely actively using before, after, during the shows,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. Some of them were. Look, they don't do it in front of you because they don't, especially nowadays, they don't want you to see what they're using or how they're using, because then they know it's going to be all over social media.
Yeah, somebody's going to take their phone out. And
Right,
like,
absolutely. So they won't do it. So if they're using, but they're high, when somebody's jaw's going, they're
slumped.
Yep, exactly. It's kind of fun to actually, I kind of make fun of people a little bit now. I'm like, oh, look at that jaw going. They're all coked up, right? Having that music and hanging out with them, and even knowing that they're using, I was still able to do it. Like I remembered my recovery. Sometimes it became a little difficult, but I'd just walk away. I'd go call my sponsor, or call call someone in recovery, someone else, someone in my support group. And it became a good, happy place for me to be again. And meeting all of these people who I admire. And now I even recognize that a lot of the groups that I go see are also in recovery. Recovery is becoming cool now, right?
You're the second person to say that.
Yeah.
Little Christina also shared that. She's like, recovery's cool now.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was taboo, but nowadays, it's like cool to be clean.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
Like I remember back probably the first year that I got clean, I had someone in the music business there. Like their whole band is on my back, their autographs. I was like, oh, you smell good. He's like, yeah, like vodka. And now I know that person hasn't had a drink in probably 5 years. Wow. And it's amazing. And he's so he's really proud of that.
We do recover.
We do recover for sure. So when I go see him these days, and he found out last year that I was in recovery for 12 years, and he's like, wow, you were coming to our shows when you were still using? I said, yeah. He's like, we would have never known. I'm like, hey. I said, that's not good, because it just shows how much my, using was hidden from people.
Yeah, we're really good at hiding it until we're not.
Until we're not. Until our lives become completely unmanageable. Oh, yeah. And mine did. Having 2 kids and struggling to get out of bed in the morning and not put my foot on the floor without taking a handful of pills was really difficult,
So what brought you think, to that point of surrender? What was that real catalyst?
Recognizing that I'm really not alone. Like and no matter how much my ex would tell me how hard it was for him to stop and that kind of stuff, like I was like, yeah, sure, okay, whatever. I never had an open mind enough to listen. And I think that listening to that young man, he was invited to the Naranon meeting from Narcotics Anonymous to speak at their anniversary. And I happened to be at that anniversary.
Wow.
I mean, look, I knew I was an addict. I didn't want to admit it.
Right.
Admitting it would then mean that
you had to do something about it.
Exactly.
You had to address it.
Yes. So after he told me, not after he told me, but after he shared, and look, we talk about that all the time. We talk about one addict helping another.
And therapeutic value.
Yeah. Just hearing him talk about all of those feelings. And I was like, I feel that way. I feel like, most days I'm a piece of shit, right? I feel like living this double life, right? I'd get up in the morning, high, go to work, high, drive to work, high, try to take care of my kids, high. I still had to live with what was going on in my head and how, bad I was feeling about myself and all those memories of like being molested when I was a kid and not dealing with that and now not dealing with my family because they knew I was high all the time and they isolated themselves from me because they didn't want to have anything to do with me. And I frankly didn't want to have anything to do with them either because that's what I do when I, am going to use or
Isolate.
Yes, 100%.
Well, I mean, it is a disease of isolation, right? Like,
yeah.
It will isolate you.
Yes. So then after I got clean and I was doing all this like music stuff, I became happy again. I became me again. And even though I wasn't listening, I wasn't singing, I wasn't like a part of being that rock star, hanging out with them and being in the front row and being asked to be a part of, being asked to come backstage, being asked to come and hang out was like, wow, like that's really special. They want to hang out with me. Like, what is it that I have? I didn't have anything. And they knew that I didn't have anything. But they respected the fact that they saw my face all the time. I supported them and I stood by them and I believed in what they believed in. And their music helped me be able to live again. Like the words in the music, sometimes what you can't articulate yourself, you'll find in a song, right? One of my favorite singers, Scott Stapp, he's also one of us. He doesn't hide it. He, he's in recovery. He wrote, and we talk about our higher power, right? So my higher power is my own higher power. Everybody else can have theirs. But he wrote this song, Jesus Was a Rock Star. He wrote those lyrics on my arm. And when he wrote those lyrics on my arm and signed it, I was like, I feel like that will be forever. That was really special to me. So I listen to his music and it brings me back to where I know in my heart I am, just because a lot of his music is based on his higher power. And he's not a Christian band or anything like that, because I know that there was a big, thing around Creed that, they were a Christian band, but they weren't. I think Scott just wrote from the heart when he wrote his lyrics because he was also in recovery. He allowed that to be in his music. And if he just helps one of us, then he's done his job, right? He helped me many, many, many times. And being able to hang out with him. And he's signed my leg, my arm, my wrist. He signed me 3 times. So music is a big part of my recovery. I've been able to do that being clean. That's probably where I'll be forever.
Well, that's the reason why I had you on this feature, is because every time I see you, you're in a concert t-shirt. Like you're wearing a concert t-shirt right now. And
this is Eric Clapton's guitar, right? Eric Clapton's shirt.
She's a massive tattoo and she's showing it to me on her forearm.
This is his black guitar stock. This guitar was like burned in a fire. So you can even see like the burn marks. It was saved. He still uses it, but that old Fender boy, listening to that, oh, you want to talk about chills? Just one note from his guitar is recognizable to me. It's the same with Santana. Like, I hear one note in that high-pitched sound and the chills just go up my back. That's me,
Yeah, to be able to operate in these spaces with these artists and participate in the music culture as a fan, going to thousands of shows, right? You've been to thousands of shows over your life.
Absolutely.
You have hundreds of tattoos all over your body of, signatures of famous people, and not having to participate in drug culture.
We talked a little bit earlier about how being clean or being sober in the music business is like a cool thing now. Like it's
trendy.
Yeah, right. It's more trendy. Yeah. It's more cool to be
in.
Yeah, it's in to be clean and be able to go through that whole music culture and not be high, right? Even Ozzy Osbourne got clean, right?
Yeah. Rest in peace, Ozzy.
Yes. Oh, that Ozzy boy. Without Ozzy, I wonder.
Well, so many people based their music off of Black Sabbath, right?
Oh, forget it.
Like they revolutionized
Yeah.
the music industry and rock and roll in general. Rock music.
Rock music for sure. Metal music.
Death metal,
The
right? They brought the death metal.
introduction to metal music
Oh, yeah.
was Black Sabbath.
Oh, yeah. 100%
know?
Ozzy Osbourne.
And oh yeah, seeing Ozzy for the first time, like I used to go to Ozfest, and seeing him throw like buckets, 5-gallon buckets of water on people in the front rows. It was like crazy. I'm like, this guy is nuts. My sister met him. She used to work at the airport at JFK, and she worked in like one of the top tier restaurants there. And she's like, I'm serving this guy, and he's got a big top hat on, and there's a hole in the top of the top hat. And she's like, then I look down and I see OZZY on his knuckles. And she's like, fucking A, that's Ozzy. So she's like, I am serving that. And that was one of the things that my sister and I shared. Like, metal music was ridiculous. Like when AC/DC came out and when Judas Priest came out, like that, those were the bands that we followed, right? And then I fell in love with Glenn Tipton from Judas Priest. And I don't know why. Like I totally freaked out when I met him. He came down off the stage a couple of years ago. This was like just before they announced that he had Parkinson's, right? So he came down off the stage and he kissed his pick and put it in my hand. Like I was so enamored by meeting him that I forgot to ask him for his autograph. Like at that point in time, that would have been like a Glenn Tipton autograph.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was
before
like,
the Parkinson's took hold.
exactly.
Oh, man.
So it was like, my sister said, holy shit, you didn't ask him to sign you. What the hell? What is wrong with you? And now I'll never have that opportunity again, you know?
Definitely.
But he knew that I loved him.
He
He
knew.
came down off that stage and handed me that pick. You know, it's crazy because I never expect that a famous person is going to even like me. Never mind want to react and interact with me, you know? And that's always fun, you know? Anyway, I think that's really all I have to say today.
I will say, I'll just close off and ask you, talk a little bit about your life in recovery. Talk a bit about what recovery has been like to you, because you also are not only in recovery, but you do a lot of service in recovery. You are the local area's events and activities chair. And we recently had a massively successful open mic event where so many people from our local area were able to showcase their music, their poetry, you know, what have you, just their talents. And it was a massive fundraiser for the local area.
Absolutely.
You got to perform, I got to perform, we got to perform together.
That's right, we did. And hopefully we'll be able to do it again in December because we've decided that we're going to have another open mic event in December. And
massively popular.
Yeah,
What a
let's hope
turnout.
it's bigger, you know? It's in a larger space. Yeah, I know that a lot of people were really encouraged and wanted to do something afterwards, right?
Oh, yeah.
They were like, oh, can we get up and sing? And it was like, we only had a limited time. But I said, oh, we'll be announcing another one soon. So hopefully that'll be a great, another great fundraiser for our area.
Well, you talked about how music helped you in your recovery. Like having that open mic made people who are new to recovery or have been in recovery for a while pick up the guitar again, you know, have a reason to get back into music. So, you know, that type of service is just so important. But you've done service all over the place, right?
Yes. I think that, I mean, I have done service with our convention. Like my background is more like in accounting and that kind of stuff. So I stepped in as treasurer for the convention for a couple of years. I do service in my own home group as like GSR. And I mean, I think I've held every position except making coffee. They threw me up as greeter because they're like, you need to be humble.
Say hello. Tell people they're welcome and give them a hug.
Hug somebody. And that's how I got to meet a lot of people in NA too. It was like probably one of the biggest meetings in the area at that time. So I met a lot of people and they would come from other areas as well. So I know some people in Queens, I know some people in Long Island, Nassau, and then I know people in Suffolk too. My sponsor now is a woman in recovery in Suffolk County. I love her. Without her, some days I think that I'd be wanting to string myself up. Doesn't have like many more years than me, but has what I want, right? And that's always how we want to be in recovery, how we tell our newcomers to choose a sponsor, choose them by what we see in them and what we want in them,
The 12
right?
steps and 12 traditions in their lives, right? In practice.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes. All the time, you know? And that's the first thing that she says to me. She will ask me, what's my part? Because she knows that my ego will always take over and my, like arrogance definitely will take over if it's not put in check on a regular basis.
And maybe a little bit of the anger, just a little
Oh,
bit.
100%. Well, that's the fear of showing people who I really am. So it's easier to get angry than for me to be humble and say, oh, I'm sorry, right? Like that's always the way I react because that was always a family trait, right? I'm not going to say I'm sorry to you. I'm just going to be pissed off at you.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Fuck
show,
you.
right, exactly. And it's only because I couldn't bring myself to say that I'm sorry, right? Whereas today, it becomes easier, not perfect, just easier. And she'll remind me of that. And it affords me the opportunity to show other women, newcomers, that this is the way I was taught. Maybe it'll help you too.
That was my experience, right? When I first met you, I had maybe like 30 days or something. It was at a friend's anniversary.
I remember.
I picked up a key tag that day and you were in the room and I was like, oh, she seems really cool. And I got your number and, we've done service together. We've performed together. We're doing this together and we operate in the same like area in the same spaces. So you practice what you preach.
Yeah. And I mean, look, I try to. I'm not perfect for sure, but perfectly human, right? And humans make mistakes. But if we remain accountable for those mistakes and try to do better, then we've done our job, right? We only strive to be better than we were yesterday. Honestly, I have struggled a little bit lately because I have some stuff going on in my life. My mom has Alzheimer's. I'm taking care of her. It can become difficult.
Yeah, but because of recovery, you're able to show up for her in that
Oh,
capacity.
100%.
If you were using, forget about it.
No way. I mean, I wouldn't even be talking. Well, I wouldn't even be alive if I was still using.
Yeah, sure.
Not in the ends like how I was using. There's no way that I would have been able to survive that. Like my life was upside down. And I am so grateful for NA.
Yeah.
I am so grateful for the women that I have in my life today. I am so grateful for my first sponsor, who happened to be a man. I chose him because I went to his anniversary and I saw how his family respected him. And I wanted that for me. Like I wanted my kids to respect me. I have good relationships with my kids today, We have our ups and downs too, but it was only because of that first sponsor helping me and showing me how to be a parent in recovery that got me through it. He has since passed away, not from the disease. Grief is a motherfucker, boy.
Oh my God.
It hit me pretty hard.
If anything will make you use, it's grief.
It became very difficult months later. You never know when it's going to hit you.
And it hits you. And when it hits you, oof.
Oh, it is. It's probably the hardest thing that you deal with. But I mean, in recovery or out of recovery. But I lost my dad in recovery too. The only thing was when my dad passed away, I knew the kind of pain that he was in. Like I knew that he was done. I knew that he said his goodbyes when he was alive. And my dad, I was his chickie. He was my favorite person, my dad. When we laid him to rest, I knew that it was the best thing for him. Like I knew that I was going to miss him immensely, but I couldn't stand to see him in that kind of pain.
And you were able to stay clean too, despite.
Oh, you know what? Staying clean in grief, even though it was really painful, I wouldn't have gotten through it without the help of NA. I wouldn't have gotten through it without everyone in my support group surrounding me during that time. And even then losing, my former sponsor. Like, even though he wasn't my sponsor, he was a staple at my home group. And like, I didn't even want anyone to sit in his chair. You know, like, don't sit there. And, you know, until like we got used to the idea, just leave the chair empty. And it was more of a respect thing. Like, I believe that he was widely respected in NA just because with 30 years clean, he would still show up, you know? And I think that that's really important. And he taught me that when I, God willing, have 30 years clean, that I'll show up for others, right? And that's the meaning of NA, right? Showing up for others.
And doing it for the newcomer.
Yeah. The most important person in the room.
I'm very grateful that you were able to bring this story to us about how you are able to exist as a fan of music and as an artist yourself in these spaces and still have recovery in your life and still have recovery be that central theme that makes...
I can't live without.
Yeah, literally cannot live without. Will not live without.
Will not live without.
Will literally die without.
Yes.
As a musician myself, very often I'll be at a show and somebody will like bring me a shot and I'm like, no, thank you. You know, can't do it. Can't do it because it will bring us to the better ends.
Oh, without a doubt.
And recognizing that is of utmost importance to be able to live and to be part of the music, right? To hear the music for the rest of our lives, because that's what fills our souls. You know,
during the time of my using, I don't think I ever got chills when I was listening to music because I wasn't hearing it.
Right.
You know, I wasn't letting it in, because if I had let it in, then maybe I would have gotten clean sooner.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You know, the drugs take a lot from you.
Yeah. And the fear of not using, being clean, was so scary. You know, I don't live in that fear anymore at all. You know, if I use today, it's going to be a decision that I make. Right. It's not going to be because I have fear of not being clean, because I know life is better being clean than it was using. That's for damn sure.
Right.
You know?
Well, thank you for sharing your story and for doing the readings.
My pleasure.
And for being a part of it. And for making your voice known and being part of this production. We so appreciate you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Colleen. The Voices of Recovery podcast is an independent production of the Works of Wisdom. We welcome your questions and donations via PayPal at voicesofrecoverypod@gmail.com. This podcast is an independent production and is not affiliated with, associated with, authorized by, endorsed by, or in any way officially connected with Narcotics Anonymous or any of its subsidiaries or affiliates. While NA literature may be read during episodes for the purpose of supporting recovery, such use does not constitute an official endorsement or representation by Narcotics Anonymous. In accordance with NA tradition, the NA name is not to be used to endorse or be affiliated with any outside enterprise, and no such endorsement or affiliation is implied. Music is by Sage. Thanks for listening to the Voices of Recovery podcast.